Moving on, the next item is a presentation. Tonight we have a presentation from the Department of Transportation regarding Highway 12. So we all set for that?
Yes, we are, Mayor. Mr. Mack? Mr. Mack, you can unmute yourself, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor Clark and council members. My name is Jason Mack. I'm going to do a presentation on State Route 12 rehab projects. With that, I'm going to share my presentation. Can you see it? All right.
Mr. Mack, we can see the last of the screen.
All right. Okay.
There you go.
So maybe I stop my video for a moment. All right. This is a State Route 12 3R rehabilitation project update. We call it PR because it's resurface and restoration and rehab. Originally, this project is programmed as one project. The project report and environmental document is presented one project, major rehab project. We divided by 3 segments. The segment 1 is McCloskey Road to Azevedo Road. Segment 2 is Summerett Road to Druin Drive. And the third segment is Druin Drive to County Line. I think keep in mind that we at the environmental document, environmental regular agency, they see it as a corridor. So when we apply for the permits, it considered impact of the whole corridor. That's 3 things in the project programming. First of all, we have the scope and the limit of the project, which I present in this slide. Second is the type of the work. And we also have the scope of work and also the project schedule. Keep in mind 3 things. So what you see on the screen is the current existing pavement condition. It deteriorates, have pothole, have crack. So what we do is the first thing is we have pavement crack and pothole. So what we do is actually not fill and crack, but we restore the whole segment of the pavement. We upgrade the guardrail. We're replacing aesthetic pipe culverts. That we call the road resurfacing in this segment. All right, the project schedule will be construction capital is 3.2 million. The construction is already started in 2022 and construction end by fall 2023. The reason for that, we anticipate the dry season, but with the condition, there are a lot, especially the culvert work, we cannot work on the wet season if the raining season like lately. So we will wait until the dry season in the summer come in, so we repair the culvert. Right. Second segment, the Summerett Road to Druin Drive existing condition. What you see right now, we only have the 1 foot to 4 foot shoulder width, and you see the roller coaster effect. You have 2 humps, the impact you down and come up. So that, prohibit the side, the distance, the side distance when the driver can see the upcoming vehicle. So what we propose in this is more extensive. So it's just the first thing we do a rehab pavement crack and pothole. We are upgrade on non-standard guardrails. We have shoulder backing extend life of pavement. This is more like new pavement. We replace existing pipe culvert. Pretty typical for a 3R project. But what we do actually is the widening the shoulder to standard shoulder, 8-foot shoulder, and the traveling to the standard 12 feet. When we do have an 8-foot shoulder, that shoulder can use as the bike lane within the widening shoulder. With that, we will improve the side distance, what we call the vertical curve correction. That means we flattening the slope. And we also, major thing is the church road intersection improvement. What you see the next slide is the graphic simulation after construction complete. And you can see this, the side distance for upcoming traffic. We flattening the road so you can see, less roller coaster effect for the driver and also mainly to improve the safety and safety management. With a wider shoulder, the road bed, you have better driving, and with the new pavement. So this is, we have, with this, we also incorporate the church road intersection improvement. This is the result of collaboration with the city and Solano Transportation Authority. So the city hired an engineer to develop preliminary intersection improvement. We adopt that STA, Solano Transportation Authority contribute $2 million for construction. But we take it on, we design, we fine tune it. This is what you see at the church road. So what you do is different from current existing. We have a left turn only to church road. And we have a refuge area. I'm sorry. You have a church road. You have the right turn, and we have the refuge area. When you do a church road to the left, to the right, that pretty much right out for Amarada Road. That will greatly improve our intersection. And the project cost, as I say, is 30.6 million as of today. SJ contribute around 2 million. The construction start in summer 2024 and 2023. And I think the more excitement and the new thing is on the segment 3. That segment 3 downtown area, beside what we do at the rehabilitation for the roadway, just the first bullet, we address the drainage issue. It have been concerned, it's the flooding during, over the year, we overlay the pavement, it go pretty high, then we need to flatten the whole thing. So, but one important new thing for that, we call complete street improvement. Basically, to align with the CalTrans mission, we would like to integrate a system. We encourage multimodal traveling beside the, vehicle. You drive the car, we encourage pedestrian. We also provide bicycle lanes. This is mainly, usually we don't do it in the 3R, but this is the major add-on to us. We have been work closely with the city, with SDA on develop this. Okay. So opportunity for the improvement, as I say in the title, 3R complete street to transform downtown Rio Vista. The roadway, as I mentioned, we fix all the deficiency of the roadway. You can read the bullet point. And the pedestrian currently existing, you have intermittent sidewalk and not continuous, non-standard width. The curb ramp is not all ADA compliant. When we also improve on the crossing needed. So no bicycle lane right now. So we improve the bicycle, we provide that. So this is the schematic proposal after the project complete. The existing, we have a, existing signal light channel intersection at Hillside Terrace. But the Gardner Way and Virginia Drive, that we propose, we have the pedestrian beacon, which is you have a signal light. The pedestrian can push on the button as some flashing beacon warning the vehicle to stop or slow down. And then this is the cross section. I would want to your attention on the pedestrian crossing distance. The distance right now we reduce drastically from 80 feet to 58 to calm down the traffic. And actually, it's more reasonable for pedestrians to navigate or to cross the road. So we also provide in the center lane, turn lane pavement treatment with the special color. And as you can see, we have Class 4 separated bicycle lane. You see some cobblestone here, so we can kind of physical protection for the bicyclists. And we have a really nice pedestrian with tree and landscape. So the system I show you is a rectangular flashing beacon for pedestrian. When you push the button, those light will light up and warn the motorist to slow down. And you know that there will be somebody across the road. All right. So right now we have continuous sidewalk in the future. Again, the thematic, again, with all the nice landscape, and the red is the pay color median. More close-up detail schematic. You can see the curb planter, and they separate the motor vehicle and the traveling and the bike lane. And with that, more on the Virginia lane, more close-up on that improvement. And I think the most exciting thing we call sidewalk plaza with the seated wall. We have shaded trees, garden and benches for people to rest and walk, and more like encourage a downtown than a freeway. Construction cost as estimate right now is 14 million. We have STA contribute 1,400,000 from City of Rio Vista. Construction we will anticipate start in summer 2025 and construction end 2027. With that, I conclude my presentation. If you have any question, I have a few minutes. I can answer with best of my ability. If not, I will refer you to our specialist in the department. For any information, you can contact our public information officer, Vin Chakala, and I have his phone number put down in the on the slide and the email address. With that, I can take a few questions.
Right. Thank you, Jason. I do have a couple questions for you myself. First of all, in segment 2, where you're going to be widening the bike lanes and the shoulders, the question, and I think I asked this at the STA meeting, is what about the power poles? Are you going to have to relocate some of those? And if you're going to relocate them, how does that work? Can they be relocated underground, et cetera, like that?
Yes, yeah, I think we take your question and we work with our right-of-way utility engineer, and also we work with our design senior. So first of all, our plan right now is the PG&E power pole will relocate. We do a relocation plan. For the standard, we have a 20 feet out of travel way. Maybe I can share. A really quick schematic, but not. Hold on. Okay, I need to. Okay, for example, what you see. Can you see my PDF post on the plan? So what you see that the pole electrical pole 29. Or whenever the electrical PG&E power pole in the center, we will remove it. And we have a 15 feet right there. So we have a plan. We work with the PG&E engineer. But if you can know the PG&E financial situation and they're busy with the wildfire, we have not successfully assigned the estimator to our projects. But that's the first thing we need. First thing order, we relocate all the in conflict So that means it's out of the rescue area, clearing zone, what we call the CR zone, clearing and recovery zone. That will be, enhance the safety on that. So for underground utility, it's kind of, when we first approach them, they say that they 100% PG&E will pay for relocation because this is within our right of way. But for underground, look like we need to share costs, or we need to pick up the cost, either the local, the county. But I don't remember we have reserved money to do to put the underground electrical pole. So that's the initial response I have. I hope I answer your question, Mayor.
Yeah, you did kind of, I guess, I'm not sure, I'm unclear as to what the process is now. Does the city need to, or STA need to work with the PG&E to figure out what the cost of that's going to be and how that's going to get shared? Or is that going to be something that you do?
Usually we don't pay for that. You probably work, they have a franchise, legal one that, but as of today, I am knowing that our plan, they're willing to do the relocation of the power pole. But I think after the relocation, you will have, soon be, unless that will be, something really affect the safety of the public.
I think what it doesn't make sense for me for you. Yeah. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense for me to have you relocate the power poles if our intention is to try to get them underground. Okay. So I think I want to work that out ahead of time.
Probably that's something you can work with PG&E. I will talk to our right-of-way engineer or utility engineer and find out more about it.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yes. But I think for now, we stay with the relocation plan because they pick up the bill 100%.
All right. When we were looking at the complete streets portion a couple of years ago, we were going through the design with your staff. The city didn't feel comfortable having a crosswalk intersection at Virginia. I know that you continue to have that in your plan, but I thought we had agreed to take that out just because as you're coming off that bridge, you're kind of coming around a curve. And with the sun in your eyes, you're not going to be able to see that very clearly. And I'm afraid that if pedestrians trying to cross there, they're not going to be able to, they're not going to see it. So is that still?
Yeah, I think the crosswalk of Virginia is still stay for now. I have consulted with our traffic safety engineer in the district. So I think, one thing, if you remember on the slide, currently we don't have the continuous sidewalk, but after construction complete, we have continuous sidewalk. And then between that, it pretty much you encourage the pedestrian to do a sidewalk, to cross over. So we need to provide them the crosswalk either at Virginia or at one time we're thinking about at the end street somewhere over there. Yeah, I think one thing is kind of sensitive because if we have a sidewalk established and then we don't provide a crosswalk, it's more like a time bomb to have somebody will cross, especially with the roadway reduced now to the current wide open, it's 58 feet right now. Now if anybody, they got injured or fatal accident, that will be the big liability, especially on the project report and then our plans. We have shown, that the proposed location, if we take it out, that any lawsuit, that will be liability for the department. So we need to provide a crosswalk after the, 2 sidewalks have been established. Currently, pretty much you discover people to cross over anyway. It's impossible to run through, 80 feet within short distance, and you don't. But with the feature we introduced, with the median, with the bike lane, we calm down the traffic to probably to the post to 35 miles per day per hour. what we can do, and I talk with our traffic engineer, we have a feedback sign to load down, and we have put more signing. Maybe we consider put a speed bump, but I don't know. We look into all options. But as of today, Mayor, we keep Virginia unless we can find more suitable location. But to do that, kind of give you some idea. We vigorously have to do what we call the intersection evaluation. So that numerous study, and we have data to support that. It warrants a crosswalk, and with the flashing beacon, the vehicle should slow down. That what we have so far. Yes,
okay, good. Thank you. I'm going to ask council if anybody else has a question. Sir, you have it. You can go ahead.
Mr. Mack, I have a question. This project looks like it's going to take 5 years, and it's done in 3 different sections. If section 3, which is the first one that's going to be completed, is ahead of schedule, would section 2 move up in its time span, and so that hopefully by the end we're not going to be running into 2027? We might get it done a little earlier.
Right.
Is that possible?
Yes, I understand your concern, Councilman. The main reason for that, I think, that the triad. All right, when we build a transportation project, the roadway like us, the design, I'm happily to report to you that we 95% complete for all 2 segments, the downtown segment and the Church Road segment. We 95, only 5% more than we complete. But the triad in construction, just like I say, the other thing is the right-of-way clearance. We need to have all the utility and right-of-way. On the segment 2, we have 9 parcels. We need to acquire, maybe a temporary easement construction. On the segment 3, we have 30 parcels because currently you have business and stuff like that. We close the entranceways also. The other triad on the project delivery is the environmental document. So, for example, the segment 1, even though it's short, but in the beginning of my presentation, I saying that we abided by California environmental law. So, for example, a few grassland, but that habitat for tiger salamander, we need to protect. So only that grassland I need to pay, we need to reserve. We don't have this. I need to find $2.6 million to monitor for 10 years. If we fail the monitoring, then we need to buy a credit. So that hold up for 10 years for 2.6. So to answer your question, segment 2, we have more impact. If you can see, we correct the profile. We will build a temporary detour road. Basically, I think I remember Mayor asked about the traffic handling. On that, we at all time, you will have 2 traffic lanes, and then we will build a temporary lane on one side. We disturb a lot of soil. So with that, that's a major permit we need to mitigate for those. And the segment 3, that 2 challenge. The first challenge we have is the 408 permit, which is the water as of now. The flooding, we don't have a system to collect all the waters. So now we improved our drainage. We collect all we need to outflow to the Sacramento River. That increased the volume to the river. We need to create a flow out on that. That 408, we need to ask a permit from Army Corps of Engineers because that affects the levee. Second, it will affect the species in the river. So that clearance need take 2 years for them to review and to grant the permit. And that the third major challenge for us is the right-of-way acquisition. As I told you, we have 20 parcels and we have short of staff. You know, we have difficulty hiring our right-of-way agent. Even though 2 people from Southern California do a appraisal for us, but with that, we still not can clearly accelerate the project schedule. It's kind of a long and detailed. I hope you follow my, my statement. Thank you for your patience.
And one more question.
Sure.
The mayor asked this at the last STA meeting, and it wasn't really clear to me whether during this construction, is this going to happen mostly during the day or in the evening or at night? Because we have a lot of traffic as it is. Once the bridge goes up and we're congested, and then adding this onto it, it just seems like it's going to be an awful mess. So is this going to happen mostly during the day or at night?
Yeah, it mostly happen during at night. We have what we call the traffic management plan. We will, before even though construction, our public officer will do the newspaper, advertise, and we work closely with the city and the citizen, and we inform all kinds of industry to know that the lane closure. We will provide the time and the state of the construction. Pretty much, I can tell you now from the plan. We will build on the sidewalk first on the north side, which is, right now we have 80 foot. It shouldn't be affect our travel way anyway. And after we complete that, we will do on the south side. But we will maintain the, traffic flow. That will to least disturbance to the public.
Okay, and one more question. I agree with the mayor about the Virginia crosswalk. And I see your point about eliminating it or not eliminating it, but can we move it from one side of Virginia to the other side of Virginia? At least it gives us a little more reaction time coming off the bridge.
Yeah, Councilman, we look into it. Yeah, we look in at first, we propose, let me pull out my presentation. Easier. Can you see this? Let's see that.
Yeah. Back here.
Yeah, just on the other side of Virginia.
All right, I understand. You want to move this whole crossing on this side, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if we have to have it, that would be the preference.
Right. We actually explore that option. In the really, at first we're talking about the crosswalk. We put it here. So, but after our traffic engineer, they started it. There are a lot of criteria. They need to, we have our manual, design manual, traffic safety. They do the analysis to make sure they have side distance, or also the distance between the other sidewalk on the other end. So look like this is the better location for the crosswalk. So I will talk with our traffic engineer and provide why the decision we move from this end to the other end, to this end currently.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there are a lot of, and just like I say, we do a lot of engineering ring analysis, or what we call it intersection control evaluation. So we consider because I'm not the expert on that, but I can say if you put that way, the left hand on Virginia. So that, I think there are a lot of things to consider, consideration. I put it on my, our expert to determine and do their recommendation. What you see on the plan, if we adopt their recommendation with a good data support and they follow the guideline of the department.
Okay, great. Thank you. We have a question from Councilmember Okamura.
Yes, so on segment 3, you could leave that same slide up if you would.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you very much for the presentation. on that particular slide, you have the sidewalk, and you actually mentioned earlier that it ends just past, it loops around what we call Trendsetters, or the business there from Virginia, or when you're coming off the bridge, there's the off ramp, and you show the sidewalk just dead ending just maybe 10 feet into the off ramp. One of the safest opportunities is really to just extend that sidewalk all the way down to underneath the bridge, and then we could connect it to our promenade. So that is a route that people take all the time. I mean, you walk or ride a bike, they ride along an unsafe sidewalk because there's not really a sidewalk over there currently. And then they come down around and loop underneath the bridge to get to downtown Rio Vista. And so a safer solution would be to sidewalk all the way down and underneath the bridge, or to the bridge, underneath the bridge. And then we could create the crosswalk to our promenade, and that provides safe passage.
Councilman, yeah, thank you to bring it up. Actually, Robin, your public work director, have forwarded the schematic plan to us. So we have the internal meeting with our engineer and traffic engineer. We look into the proposed new location. Look like, you know, our traffic engineer will still recommend that the Virginia Road, right now what we propose is makes, you know, it's more south location. First of all, that is based on that expertise. Second, I would like to point it out, just like I'm saying in my presentation, this project, we have a project limit and a scope of work. For example, for this project, we have the limit will stop at the state line, but I don't the fund treat, it will probably will affect the 84, I remember correctly. So that is not part of this project. And I know the city have, you know, seek funding to build that. Even though, you know, we have a focus meeting with your public work director, and we share our concern and our analysis and our opinion on the new location proposal. First of all, if we include that in our project, that will, I would tell you pretty much, we further delay the project.
Well, I think the objective is to create a safe passage for our children. And so if there's budget that you're spending to create a crosswalk, whether it be on the east side or the west side of Virginia, it seems like that cost could be redirected to creating a sidewalk that would just continue on to the bridge.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should be looking at it from a dollar perspective. We should be looking at it.
No, actually, just like I say, to answer your question, Councilman, our traffic engineer, you know, review the proposed location, and it doesn't meet, you know, anytime if you see anything on our plan, we need to meet a criteria and to warrant it. So from that initial, and they started it, they say that that location is not warrant for the crosswalk. That first, you know, that mainly we do engineering. We take your input, we try to do the best for the greater good. But I remember in the early stage, just like I say in the beginning, if we have a bike lane and, you know, sidewalk, if anybody cross that, you know, they don't use the designate, and then, you know, the water flow to the least resistant. People do a shortcut, just one case, just one person cross that, then the liability will be huge, and that's a time bomb. Because now we encourage people do a sidewalk, and we have full sidewalk. I don't know, I conveyed it correctly. Maybe I would have next time, if you would like, you know, I will have a traffic engineer to come in and, you know, we work with that. But I think with the time frame, I don't want to, that's all I understand right now.
Okay, one more question from Councilmember Dolk.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I would think phase two, my question's regarding phase two. I think that's possibly the most traveled phase. You have both out of town and in town traffic on that phase. It's also the most costly phase to correct. One question One question that I get, and I get this frequently, so I thought I would ask tonight is, has the possibility of concrete center divides been looked at for that stretch? I know there's some concern from public. It's just, we've had some accidents out there lately, and I'm just wondering if that's something that's ever been looked at for that stretch.
Yes, actually, we received that comment quite often, just like you stated. From the improvement from the traffic data we receive, annually, the center divider worked pretty good. It reduced the the accident drastically. Second, I think anything. First of all, if we put a concrete barrier, that from what I know now, but our traffic safety engineer need to chime in. If you have a concrete, it's a fixed object. If they hit the barrier, that will overcorrect it. Maybe sometimes it's worse than it before. But this is my personal, we keep it that way. It worked pretty well so far. Last, I started project, on the further end, on the west side, on the water road. This worked pretty well and reduced the traffic. With that less invasive, and that, but I know if you really want to do this, it might call for other project. It's a safety project, but to keep the project on schedule, just I say, I need to manage the scope, the project, the limit of the project. We do it incrementally. From what I work on this route for past 2 decades, it worked pretty well. We would do it, incrementally. So I hope I answer your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Need to public comment. Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask the public if they have any questions, but the questions have to be on this project, not about anything else. Okay. All right. Anybody here? Yeah, go ahead, please.
I live on North Road in Trilogy. About a year ago, you guys presented the stuff will be seen tonight again. And I had a question. When we exit from Marks Road into the Church Road, we end up on Highway 12. And now you make some improvement there on adding some lines in there. And my question now is, and I gave this a year ago, have you considered to make a turnaround there? So island, like we have a couple miles down there here, to reduce the speed of the cars. Then when you're coming out right now, trucks coming with 45 miles an hour, and you have to push the pedal quite down to make it. And this was my question. Have you considered this? And what is your decision? It's my first question. Can you answer that?
I'm sorry, I hardly hear your first, the
Okay.
first half of your
Excuse me,
question.
were you asking for a roundabout?
A roundabout,
Yeah,
yes.
because I think we looked at a roundabout at that intersection initially, and I think the issue was because there's 2 streets involved and private property it got to be prohibitive expense wise.
So they don't wanna.
So that was the decision, was not to do
Okay.
that.
On this exit now, Church Road, are you going to reduce the speed limit there? Yes or no? And if yes, what is the speed limit?
I think as of right now, the speed limit is just what we posted. Every time we post reduce the speed limit, first of all,
We have a speed limit now for 45 miles per hour. And this is quite a speed here when there's a big truck is coming and you're merging in.
Yeah, I understand your concern. That more like law enforcement issue than design, Because that I say, if we want to post, we slow down the posted speed limit. Two things. First of all, we need to do a speed study. Second, you need to pass through the legislator. I
So
think we
when-
work with the council and the city and SDA. The best we can do, a few years ago, we declared this as the safety route. So, but to reduce the speed, you need to come through the legislator.
So this is your job, right? To find out on the speed limit if you can
Right,
reduce
we
this.
do. Actually, what we do is currently we will post, we have what we call the speed feedback panel. Kind of alert the driver saying that, hey, you drive too quick, you know, tell them that speed.
Okay,
Okay, great. Thank
you
you.
answered
That's
it.
it. Okay.
Second
No,
question
no, you're finished. Your 5 minutes are up. That's all you get, okay?
was about the power poles. on
I
Highway
asked that question already. Thank you. Okay, do we have anybody else here? Anybody online? Do you see any hands?
There are two, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Miss iPhone, can you kindly unmute yourself, please?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please. You have 5 minutes.
Hey, my concern is about segment 2. It is about the power poles, the ones that are leaning over at about 10 degrees right now. Sooner or later, those things are gonna probably fall. My question is, if those come down before the construction starts, where they're putting the power underground, who's gonna be responsible for putting those in the ground on a temporary basis, and who's gonna absorb the cost of those?
I think I answered this question before. I think mainly the PG&E responsibility to do the relocation. So they have a franchise, even though they put on our right of way, we can inform them. Actually, if I understand, PG&E representative have met our utility engineer at the field. They look into it. But in my presentation, I say that they have not assigned the estimator for this project, which they verbally promise us will be in March. Right at the underground, right now, it mainly is not from CalTrans. Probably you need to work with the local or PG&E to figure out who will have the cost to take care of to have that underground.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
great,
My
thank you.
Second
Okay,
part
next-
of that,
Next question, please. The next,
I have one more quick question.
okay, make it
I'm
quick
sorry.
then, because we're running out of time.
Real quick statement, actually, I would really appreciate if we could have the K-rails installed sometime real soon, because if you hit that K-rail, you are going to overcorrect to a degree, but at least you're not going to be in the other oncoming lane hitting a car going 60 miles an hour. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, thank you for the input. Actually, we at the department, we look into that option. If it warranted, we will do at a separate project, maybe before this project or after. So it depends on you know, on our fighting.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Okay, we have one more hand up.
We
And Mayor
have-
Cott, I do recommend that we allow the public comments to complete and then have CalTrans respond after all the questions or comments are made.
All right.
Next one is, Mr. Mayor, next one is Latrina.
Hello, I had two questions. One is I hope the sidewalk is continued to be discussed, because I know you said the engineers have, did their analysis, but coming off of that bridge, that is a curve. And so what is going to alert the truck drivers that someone is crossing, because there's no light there. And if people are already coming off at a good speed and a kid pushes the button and it's going to just flash, it's a blind spot coming off that bridge right there if you're coming. So I'm just concerned about that. So that's one thing. And then the second thing regarding the bike lane coming from Church Street through Highway 12, what is the security barriers for the bikers? Because again, big rigs, and on both sides of 12, there's open space, there's hills there. And so when trucks fly by, sometimes they're like a wind flashes. So what's the security safety measure for bikers on Highway 12?
Yeah, I think as of today, what I present, our recommendation is that we use the shoulder as at the bike lane, just like you see in any conventional highway. I believe our engineer looked into it. This is the recommendation we have at current stage.
So that's a shoulder will be built, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
but not the one you see in the downtown.
Okay.
That's yeah.
The engineers, I mean, with big rigs, I don't know if the engineers know how many big rigs go through 12 and to put bike lanes right on Highway 12. That just sounds so dangerous to me. But
Yeah, I know your concern, but we just like say, equality, and then we promote different mode of traveling. So if we can, we will provide, I don't know how many cyclists on that route, but usually we try to connect all those bike lanes together. So at least if somebody want to, do that route, they have somewhere, at least the shoulder right now allow them to do so.
And it's not flat land, it's hills. So it just seems very odd that that's a bike lane.
Yeah, I take your comment and see we look into it again. But as of today, that's our plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, that concludes public comment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, closing public comment. And so, Mr. Mack, thank you so much for your presentation tonight. I thank you for your patience in answering our questions. We appreciate that and looking to follow up with you on some of the questions that we did ask. So,
All right, thank you.
Okay, good night.
Yeah, good night.